Welcome everybody to another, live stream here with the Facebook Shower Door Pros. I'm your host, Chris, and I'm just here to say welcome aboard. Glad that you took some time out of your busy schedule to join us, whether you're here live on Wednesday evening, or if you're just, watching the video later or listening to the podcast. Glad that you took time to listen in or even be a participator here. And if you haven't joined us here in the Zoom call, you are welcome to. Just go ahead and click the link. It's there in the description on the post. Click it, come on in and join us and be a part of the discussion. It's always fun to have new people come on in and
so Billy,
yeah. What's going on, Bill?
How's everybody?
You look cold, man. It's not that cold.
Oh my God, look at the snow hat is on.
I know.
And the winter beard's coming in.
well, they come look through all my stuff. They go to my house and search my house. I didn't take nothing.
What's the temperature now?
I got a job. I don't need to steal stuff.
I was just looking to see what it was here.
It's not that bad. I mean, we're in the 30s in the mornings, but we'll hit 50s and 60s during the day.
30s. Oh my God.
What altitude are you at, Billy?
Most areas above 2,000, I think, 2,500-ish, I think, something like that.
They're higher up than I thought.
I'm 11 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm like right at sea level, actually. Pretty close to zero.
I'm at 800 something, which is way higher than anything you got in Florida, the entire state. So
Yeah, no kidding.
what is
Okay.
300 feet something?
Yep.
Yeah. So my house is 2,200 feet,
Wow.
right where I live. That's why
Is
we're a
it-
little
Nice.
different.
It's like if you go to Colorado and you make brownies, you got to watch how you cook it because of elevation. So do you have to
Right.
watch like how you caulk? You get air bubbles trapped in there at 2,500 feet?
No, but houses move around like crazy because they're all built on slope.
Slope,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Do you get a lot of movement of your shower door, especially older installed ones, as heating season comes on and the walls contract and or
We dealt
expand,
with
I
it
should
pretty
say.
heavily. Yeah, we dealt with it pretty heavily. Shifted from some brands we were using and styles, as you
Yeah.
know. So that's helped out a little bit. I think we've greatly reduced slipping doors by changing manufacturers of our hinges. So because we still use hinges and pivots both. So
Yeah.
Talk more about that, Billy. What changes have you made to the brand of hinges that you're using?
I don't want to throw any names out there in particular. I've made some comments. I've made some comments before, but you never know who you need when. But we consistently use the same manufacturer for a long time on our hinges. Have shifted to using more pivots, but in some applications, since I don't have control over my glass manufacturers, I can't use pivots on everything because it just creates too much discussion with manufacturers on what we can and can't do. So time wise, I don't have time for the discussion. So I just have to use hinges. So we moved to a different manufacturer for the majority of our hinge applications and have been pretty happy with that. And when we do have problems, they're much more understanding to discussion. So
Is it a national manufacturer, Billy, or is it somebody local?
no, they're both. Everybody we use is national. We don't have any. You talking glass or you talking hardware?
The hardware.
Well, yeah, hardware wise, I don't know of any like local hardware manufacturers. Maybe I'm just blind to that in some areas, but no, they're all big folks.
Now, has your installation process and protocol stayed the same, or have you kind of adjusted that as well?
So I push for my guys to block hinges. Do they always get blocked? No. Do we go back sometimes and find out that I thought it was getting blocked and it wasn't? Yes. I mean, I I have humans that work for me, not work for me, work for our company, just like everybody else. So, so when we do big stuff, we do try to push the pivots in some form or fashion, whether that be header based, wall mounted, something like that. So it has been a significant push that we've made over the last few years. But I can't have a discussion with my manufacturer every time I want to use a pivot on an out of plumb wall, or everybody knows the problems when you don't control your glass manufacturing that you run into. I don't have time to discuss every one of them with every single inside salesperson I deal with, and they go, "Well, my system won't let me do this," and I'm like, "Well, I know your system says you can't do it, but when you put your hands on it, you can if you know what you're doing." But I don't have time for that, so we still use hinges quite a bit. And I have both hinge stock doors and pivot stock doors in my building. So, I would say it's 60-40 either way, depending on just, how often we get plumb walls, or walls we consider plumb, I guess you would say.
Plumb enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plumb enough.
Plumb enough. Yeah, I haven't figured out how to completely get away from wall-mounted hinges, but I sure would like to. I mean, I'm kind of moving in that direction. I just love the pivots, man. They're so nice and so much easier to install. I find like shorter install time, less go backs.
I switched over to FHC, and I'll tell you what, ever since I switched, I have not gone one time back. I mean, I don't know. I know they're almost the same thing as C.R. Lawrence, but I don't know. There's something about them. I have not gone back one time yet for an adjustment. And ever since I've been pushing my hinges all the way to the top, I mean, I don't put no block in. I just push it up, tighten it down, and go with it. And a lot of people ask me, I mean, what if you have to adjust it? Well, that's why you need to adjust it before you mark it, right? I mean, you got to level it out.
Get it to the right spot. I mean, you can always raise the fixed panel a little bit if you need to.
Yeah.
How
many of you guys put the door up first and then the panel? I mean, that could be a problem too.
I don't know anybody who does that.
Actually, a few people I've talked to, they do the door first and then the panel. It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm like, all right.
No. That's risky.
Yeah, how do you line a panel up to a door?
Panel first.
Right.
I have no idea.
Always do the panel first, because then you can set your opening for the.
I think that's wrong. That's going backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for a guy that would always want the door hung first. He was adamant about it. Hang the door first. And it was because his theory was that if something doesn't fit and it needed to be reordered, that the panel would be a cheaper, reorder than the door. That was his logic in it anyway. But I mean, we used to kind of, attitudes would collide on that. But I mean, it was his gig, so I'll do what you want. But it always seemed odd to me to do it that way.
There's got to be an alternate way. I mean, somebody's got to be doing it a different way. So it's good to hear what the reasoning is that someone would use.
So I've got a question on the pivot hinges on the bottom pivot. When you install it on and I think we've covered this before, but when you install it on a pitched threshold, like it should be, how do you level it out so the door's not all wonky? So the pivot's, up and not tilted.
Boy, you just put it in tight, and there's enough. When you put the glass in there and you go to put the plate on, it's going to self-level. I wouldn't mark.
Problem with Ryobi stuff. I don't know that crap.
I don't know who's talking there.
Yeah, I don't either. But is somebody trying to contribute, or are you just
maybe what wasn't on mute?
But
But anyhow, never really had a problem with that, Brian, unless it was just so severely pitched. Then you would put you could use washers or plastic shims underneath the base plate of the pivot hinge. Run your screws down and just put a bead of caulk around it.
So if it's just a typical
pitch,
slope,
just go straight down. Yeah, and you want that. You want that.
And Brian, I would say your question is very legit. Like I've thought about that too over the years because I was taught on hinges for everything.
Right, me too.
But it's I hate to like put it this like simply. It's one of those things like you don't have to think about it that much. Like it seems in my head like you're sitting something flat on something that's pitched. You're gonna have a tipping problem, and that's a very, very good question. But you just don't.
Yeah.
Unless it's just drastic. I mean, if it's crazy,
Right.
then I'm going to go, well, pivots aren't a good idea. I'm going to hinge the door. It's kind of like when people bring up the same question with like, how do you use them on a wall that's really bad out of plumb? Well, I don't. You know, I'm not the Dobbins that can control the glass portion of it enough to know everything's going to lay out properly. Even if I ask for it, like it's going to hit 5 people at my manufacturer, they're going to go, this is wrong. We can't do this. This is wrong. We can't do this.
Yeah.
So to avoid that, I just don't.
Mhm.
So your question is very legitimate.
Yeah.
But when it's a standard pitch, you just don't have a problem with it.
So I guess it's like attaching a BCU4 on a pitch. When you put the glass in, it's just gonna
Yeah,
tilt over and just go where it needs to
Exactly.
that's a perfect
Exactly.
analogy. That's a
really
I was
is.
just
Take a mallet
concerned
to it and straighten it.
go with the fact that it's a pivot or it's a hinge.
Yeah,
And so it's moving. So okay, no problem, no issue.
problem.
Good.
But on the Eclipse, you can just take a mallet and hit it and straighten it out.
Just hit it. Yeah, I mean, really, just it's brass. Like, a clamp is brass, and it'll
Right.
it'll
straighten
bend.
out.
Yeah, no problem.
How
Yeah, when
much
I
of
put
an
the
out
screw
of
in, it
plumb
just works.
condition can you deal with on a pivot? So if your wall's leaning, say it's out or it's in 7/16, half inch. I mean, I guess Bill Dobman, you're a predominantly a pivot guy. I mean, I've had, to Billy's point, I've had to try to educate or have that conversation with my glass provider, who's also recommending hardware, because they're using the shower doors by design thing. And they're telling me if I say that's 1/4 inch out or 1/4 inch in, we can't use pivots. I don't understand that logic. I mean, isn't it relative? I mean, you're moving your pivot point over to be in line. I need a little lesson on that.
We've done them over 3/4 of an inch.
Wow.
Over 3/4.
Yeah.
And you've got play in the hinge, in the notch itself. So all you're doing is when you're manufacturing, let's say that's the top that's out, that nipple is just going to be a larger nipple. So there's more glass there. You can't put the pivot hinge too far away from the wall. So you've still got to have a nipple there to hold that glass in place. But we've got up to 3/4. There's so much play inside that notch. I don't see a problem.
I've
Bill,
had that discussion with a 1/4 inch outage, and they're telling me, it can't be used. I don't understand that.
That's exactly what Billy's talking about. The
Yes.
supplier's software won't allow it.
Yeah.
I can explain to you why though, because I've had this discussion like directly with some folks at the manufacturer. It does depend on where the outer square is. So when you think about a pivot cutout, you're going to have a heel on the back of the cutout. People call it different things, but it's the little finger that comes down on the back of the pivot cutout. Well, if you're deleting too much of that, then they can't cut it and temper it, is what I'm being told. So what I do is the top pivot is the one that causes the real problem, because you can only move that thing so much and you've only got so much play inside that cutout. So the bottom one is the one that I get them to manipulate. But I do understand that if you have to manipulate it a certain way and that leg gets too small, that causes a problem. So where they're not going to redo all of their system for that one cutout, because trust me, I tried to set it up where this was all I'm going to use. You guys figured out, and I got a lot of flack. So that's when I moved to a hinge, and I don't cause a big riff because they're not manufacturing just my glass. If they were manufacturing just my glass, it would be my company and I could control that. But typically it's about a 1/4 inch, Mike, that is the tipping point for my guys, depending on where the outer square is. And I'm not going to get into that. That's kind of general knowledge of, your cutout and what's moving. And if you move a certain direction, you're eating into that leg of the pivot cutout, and it has to be a certain size. So I think they said that the actual leg dimension that my manufacturer wants is 3/8 is the kind of the minimum they want to get to. When it gets smaller than that, it causes a problem. They're worried about it busting or popping off when they're doing it. So
No, I appreciate that. I just have often wondered, why they're kicking me out on a 1/4 inch outage or whatever. But no, I appreciate that.
No, that's nothing.
Yeah, really.
That's why I don't use showers online, because I do my own drawings and they cut what I want.
Yeah.
No, I agree, Tim.
And here's the thing to think about, like your bottom pivot, if you're using pivots, the bottom one, you can put anywhere you want, right? If you wanted to put it 6 inches from the wall, you could.
Yeah.
There's no reason that you can't, right?
No.
Okay, so now your top pivot, you can actually shim that out. I've heard Keith talk about this, where they actually take like, a thing that they call a pork chop. It's the little wall mount adapter, little L bracket. Take one of those and actually cut it and use it as a shim. And you can actually move that top pivot out a lot. There's no reason you couldn't shim it over 1 inch or 2 inches, whatever, any amount. If you have some kind of a shim that you can put up there that looks good, it's got to look finished, right? So that's where using another piece of that material and cutting it will do it. Now think about it like that. Imagine that you can move that top pivot out away from the wall 1 inch. You can use that door anywhere. Think about it. Because you can always move the bottom pivot wherever you want. You have no limitations on how far you can move that.
Chris, aren't you creating a huge gap on your hinge side against the wall?
No, because it sits above the door. Or, unless you cut it out for the hinge, which I never liked that. And there's no way to do that and make it look good, in my opinion, that, flush mount top thing. I always try to avoid that. I think the hardware looks a lot better above the door. It just makes the whole thing work, in my opinion, easier.
But you still
I don't know
have
how the
cutout,
Dobbins
right?
feel about that. I have a feeling they probably agree with me. Just because.
No,
I'm
I
not
agree with
following
you.
on that.
I put it
Right?
flush.
So now the glass is going to end up where the glass ends up, is where you put it, It's that cutout and where you're moving that to. And like I say, if the hardware sits above the glass and you can shim it over as much as you want, and your only limitation is making it look good, right?
And long enough screws.
Finished,
and
right?
long enough screws to go through it.
Oh yeah, you got to have long enough screws. So like a 3-inch screw is probably as long as the screws you want to use.
Yeah, right.
But now,
So-
Chris, when you're saying to do that and add a 1-inch shim, you're talking before fabrication, right? You
No, I'm
have to
talking
fabricate
about
the
during.
door to do
I'm
that.
talking about during install. So you're just moving that cutout. You're just moving that cutout over. So if the problem is that the wall is leaning out, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
you've got a bigger piece, you've got more glass at the top. So it's preventing you from like reaching the wall with your adapter. And if you can shim that thing out, if it's out 1 inch, you've got bigger problems than just, right?
Or use a header. Or use a header.
Or you could use a header. But even without a header, you can do it. You can do it.
So back to your door. Is this just a single door, or is it a door and a panel?
Could be either.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't matter.
if the wall's out, you can put a 6-inch panel there.
Yeah. That's
and
true.
Have
If you-
the panel take up the difference and do a top mounted hinge.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've got a
There's no
glass to glass situation, that's
Oh, yeah,
any
right.
issue. Then
If
you
you
don't
can do
have
three,
a problem.
a panel, a door. If you can fit a 6-inch panel in there.
Yeah.
PPH07 on the top.
Mhm.
And that takes care of your wall being out of plumb.
You're just adding a lot of cost at that point, though.
Yeah. If it's a glass
It
to
is,
glass
but
situation,
it
you
looks
don't have
nice.
a problem. If it's a glass to glass situation, you don't have a problem.
No.
There's not a problem to start with.
Right.
It's only a problem if it's like a wall mount.
A long one.
That's
Right.
the
No,
only-
I'm just saying if you do what Tim said and add a 6-inch panel
Right.
and just go hinge to hinge or glass to glass hinge, now you've added a lot of cost that wasn't there in the original design.
Absolutely.
It's you
well,
never know.
right. And
It's cheaper than ripping the tile out and fixing the wall and making it the way it should be.
that's true.
Fair.
It ends up a clean look, and who knows? They could have a tile bar they want to put on that side wall they open the door up against.
Exactly. You're solving two problems.
There you go.
Do it all the time.
So yeah, so really there's a lot more options there than you think if you're just use some creativity and imagination. Right, Keith?
100%. I've gone into where a contractor brought me in for this. It was a 48. I remember this like it was just a 48-inch opening. They wanted a door and panel. There was no toilet or anything right outside the shower, so you could hinge it on either side. And the wall was off considerably to the point where I was worried that we couldn't cut a piece of our land chop and shim it out. And I wanted to put a 4-inch panel there, or 6-inch panel, hang the door off of it, panel door panel. And he didn't budget for that. I says, well, you want me to run it by the customer? And he says, are you going to tell him about the wall? I says, not if you're paying for the difference. And so he automatically kicked in for it. I never even had to say anything to the customer.
Wow. Yeah.
You just got to have dialogue with them. That's all.
Yeah.
That's right. Salesmanship. Problem solving.
Problem solving.
What we do, right?
Situational awareness.
Situational awareness.
Oh, you know what's really good about that? I want to just talk about that real quick. My biggest pet peeve, I was doing a sales training with the guys, and I noticed a lot of times everyone always first says, how are you doing? And so our newbie said that to someone the other day who was visibly, to me, came in the showroom like stuffing their feet in the concrete as they're walking in. And it was clear to me this person was not in a good mood. And so starting off the conversation with no situation, how you doing, with a smile on the face, like I could almost see the person saying, how the fuck do you think I'm doing? I'm pissed. Like, you don't want to start off that way. Definitely want to have situational awareness.
Absolutely. Yep. Good point. Good point. Yeah. Read the room. So yeah, I noticed, I was just looking at some of the posts in the Facebook group, before I came on, and there's a couple of things, in there that were like, wow, I saw the one post about the guy who had, I know some of you guys kind of already chimed in about a big piece of granite, and as the installers put it in, they cracked it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the general is saying, yeah, it's like a $10,000 fix.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like somebody's snorting lines out there. You're not snorting lines.
Are you jealous?
How do you know what that sounds like?
Yeah.
First of all, I read about it in a magazine.
He saw it on a movie.
Glass magazine?
High Times, I think.
Oh shit.
I don't like it. I just like the way it smells.
Yeah. When I was talking about crack, I wasn't talking about that kind of crack. I was talking about the crack, on the tile.
Oh,
I saw that.
Yeah.
I was going to go next door and ask my guy about it.
the crack?
It was a big granite slab, and he put the door up, and it cracked the slab.
Crack.
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody didn't back butter the.
They didn't use double-sided tape like the tile chick.
The tile chick.
That video, I mean.
Where's the tile chick? She should be in here for sure.
God.
How many
that a
times
real
did you watch
person?
that video, Tim? How many times did you watch that video?
Is that a real person?
I mean, why did she glue the clip down? Just tape the panel down,
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That's true. Then you wouldn't have those unsightly clips.
Yeah. And you come back a year
All I
later,
know
the
is I
panel's
saw it
gonna
on the
look
internet,
this.
so it must be true.
I seen it this morning stuck in traffic, frustrated me even more.
Hey, to that point about the cracked tile, do you guys put any caveats in your quotations
I
about
do.
damage or the impact of drilling through? Obviously we've talked about glass tile before, but we all know that that's a real thing. It's happened to all of us. Do you put any kind of caveat in your proposals?
Yep.
Every single one. But when
Yeah.
push comes to shove, that goes out the
Yeah.
window.
You're right.
Mhm.
Bill.
You know,
I agree with you.
You can do it and you can show it to them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What about when it comes to a $10,000 push though, Bill?
Exactly. Then you probably end up splitting it.
That's what insurance is. That's what insurance is for.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
true.
but you need more context than that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
A
I
lot
said,
more.
the glass guy needs to be there when they pull that slab off and see what.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of a slab like that cracking. It maybe too small of a hole, too big of a screw, maybe.
They could have done a 3/16 with a,
Quarter
You
inch.
Could
Quarter
have
inch.
used a hammer drill too.
yeah.
Uh,
A lot
I
of
don't think they
vibration.
broke it until they screwed the.
yeah, there could be a
So-
high point, maybe like a framing nail part of the way out, and then when you sucked in the screw into the stud, it like maybe it was a breaking point.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I had to go buy a diamond blade at a granite place, and it was actually what I was looking for was something that was really good for quartzite because we had to notch into quartzite tops pretty deep. And, these guys who do granite countertops and whatever, they have all kinds of patching kits. I bet a lot of times tops are installed that have been damaged, that have been repaired prior to installation, and the people never know it.
Of course.
It seems like, is it possible to have
Yes.
somebody who's really talented to go out there to fix it on site, and that would be a great solution that would make sense. And those are things I would talk to the customer about.
The only concern I have about that is that the fix is on the pressure point, right? It's on the hinge, behind the hinge. And so you're always going to get some movement. You're always going to get, or the potential for movement anyway. That would be my concern about that fix.
Well, that's a good point. What I would do is if it's emanating from one particular hole, like if I don't know why it cracked, whether it was where the hole was drilled and it's emanating from that one particular spot, but I'd over drill that one hole. So there's no pressure on that. But you're right. If the back plate of the hinge is always working that spot and there's a pivot point or something, then you got that situation, but I would try to repair it first.
Yeah.
They had, what was really cool is when I went to buy that tool, they had a whole bunch of different epoxy colors that you could blend to repair cracks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who
And I'm
has
sitting
that?
there thinking, that's pretty
the
cool.
Akimi.
What is it?
Called the Kimi. It's what they used when they like put an island together with two seams.
Yeah.
It's an epoxy with it comes with like a color palette, and you mix it like Bob Ross, a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yep.
And they blend it right over, and they can sand it down all the way with like 500 grit, and almost like disappears.
Yeah. Is that KIMI or how do you?
No, I think it's Akimi.
AKEMI.
And how dare you to, I don't know how to spell. I can barely read. It's Akimi.
Akimi.
The internet's saying that this is a dangerous webpage.
It's a dangerous what?
Dangerous webpage. I'm going to continue anyway, though, because I'm not scared. It's AKEMI.
I wouldn't have been even close to that.
Kimi.
Well, sometimes we've
Yeah,
repaired cracks. In fact, I've repaired broken tiles before by using epoxies and sticking it on and repairing the crack itself.
You'll
I've
like
done that
this. This
before.
is strong.
What's that?
The Akimi. Chris is
Okay,
probably gonna
yeah.
put it in the group.
I'm looking for, yeah. I'm trying to find the English.
Will it work for ceramic tile?
Oh, I'm
Like
sure.
to fill
it would.
holes?
No, to cover cracks.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
it
mean,
would.
like,
It's epoxy, I mean,
As long as you can get the color right, that's
Tomorrow-
the trick.
Tomorrow I'm going on a third trip to install this door, and I keep uncracking the freaking ceramic tile. Same spot, same. I got to go back tomorrow and do it again.
Wait a minute. I thought your paperwork says you don't take responsibility.
I don't. I'm not paying for it. They're paying for. They already know.
Every
I'm
time they're paying for it, every time?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not paying for it.
All right.
well,
You send
keep
it.
that honey hole going.
Are you going or is Junior going?
No, Junior does windows. He does windows. I
Alright.
do the shower doors.
All right.
So
Well,
Me
if
and my
Junior did
helper.
it by hand, he'd break it,
Yeah, no kidding.
so FHC has extra long screws, 3-inch screws, and so hopefully I could hit a stud behind it. I'm not going to use no anchors. I'm thinking that the anchor is maybe expanding and cracking the ceramic tile. I don't know. So I got different game plan going on. So hopefully tomorrow will be my last time going over there. It's about an hour drive.
Did you shove the anchors through the tile?
No, I did not.
You got to do that.
I know you remember you told me that last time. So I'm
told
gonna
you.
try that tomorrow too. So
I'll come up and help you.
so the contractor's gonna be over there tomorrow, and the homeowner, they're gonna watch me work. I'm like, all right. So I'm gonna wear a Speedo and a bikini. So we'll get a nice little show.
Oh,
Again?
Make sure you
Ow,
go live
ow.
on and tag Chris Phillips.
oh, man. I'm going to have dinner after.
Hey, I'm free tomorrow.
You
I can
just
come up
can't
and help you.
unsee.
Ugh.
And I like
Going
to
up in my
jiggle it.
mouth a
I
little
like to
bit
jiggle.
here.
And
Hey,
I
I'm free
jiggle,
tomorrow.
too.
I can drive up and help you. Only a couple hours away.
Look at
A
that.
couple hours. I don't know if you want to see me like that, Tim. I don't know.
No, I don't.
Who's the guy in the group that's going out to Bozeman? Did
You, I
somebody
thought-
in the
I
did
thought you
somebody
were
in the
going.
group
No, no.
early? I am. Well, yeah, but I'm going Big Sky. But I just saw it in the Facebook group. Somebody's going out to Bozeman.
Yeah, I saw that. Mhm.
Too far for me.
Well, there's Greg. He's up in someplace up there.
Somebody from Minnesota, I think, was traveling that way.
Okay, yeah, I'm putting these links in the chat room. From what I'm finding, this
nice.
Akimi stone.
Brian, I'm trying to grow a beard like yours, man. It's hard.
Keep it up. Don't give up.
keep trying.
Last
Like
night, I
that,
almost
like
had
that
it.
shower door. Don't give up.
I
Oh,
like
I
your beard,
thought you were
man.
talking about me. You're looking for the gray, right?
Is that 3-aught or 4-aught steel wool?
4.
It's really good at getting scratches out.
Yeah.
I use it to buff out scratches and
There
shower
you go.
doors. Yeah.
Can
Well, I
put
actually
some
had a
shit.
beard at one time.
You can put the screws to the hinge plate in there while you're tightening up the hinge plate. Pull the screws out. I would do a post like that for
Put a
sure.
little wax in there first,
You need a 1/4-inch shit? I got it.
Got it right here.
Doing it, huh? That works.
It's how much space? Cut hair. Here you go.
Is that why you have little patches right there, Brian?
Yeah.
You guys.
You guys are sick.
I know. What's up?
Yeah,
with
my
you?
younger days, I had a beard at one time.
I bet you look just like Santa Claus.
But then I had to get rid of it for the fire service because we couldn't seal our.
I bet you look just like Santa Claus.
Actually, we got a guy down the street that plays Santa Claus. He looks great.
Nice.
That's before I had all the white hair.
Okay. So I think we got way off topic.
Yeah.
There. I'm not even sure. I don't even know how to get back.
You're
From here.
kidding.
Did anybody bring a map?
Yeah.
Need GPS for that.
So I'll bring up a subject. So at the trade show, I went to talk to Dow Corning about silicone and mildew. And the guy told me that silicone cannot grow mildew. It is the soap and the water that does it. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
So what gets inside how is it that you get black inside the silicone?
It's getting behind the
The
silicone.
water
There's a
behind it.
water
Yeah.
trap in there. That's what's making it grow.
And then it grows up from behind it
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
because it's got an antifungicide in it.
Yeah, well, it has the anti-fungicide, but that eventually
So you
goes
didn't know how to
away.
read, Keith.
It doesn't last.
I've been told. I heard on a podcast.
Yeah. But this guy swore up and down that silicone will not grow mildew.
I've heard that before too. So it's like, I mean, it needs to be an organic material in order
Yeah.
for any kind of a fungus to live
And then he
there.
said for the RTV, when it turns yellow, that's because it's exposed to sunlight. Like that one picture was on Facebook. He says that won't, that's what causes that, the ultraviolet rays.
How long
Right.
of a time frame before it starts to turn yellow?
It says, like, somebody posted a picture of a panel that had the RTV on the bottom. And I showed him the picture and he goes, yeah, if that is exposed to sunlight from the window, it'll turn it yellow.
Like right away?
Huh?
Right away?
Not right away, but it's over time probably.
But in that picture, wasn't the wall silicone clear?
Yeah, because that probably wasn't getting the
Yeah.
sunlight. Yeah.
Constant sunlight.
yeah. No, because I saw that picture, then I went back over and talked to him about it, and then we got in the subject of silicone molding. He goes, no, it can't grow mold, period.
So that brings up another question. Do you guys have the mold / mildew discussion with your customer? Because everybody goes straight to the mold. I'm like, it's mildew, it's not mold.
Yes.
Because mold is such a hot word these days. I don't even want to broach that subject. I don't even want them thinking that there's mold. It's mildew.
No.
There is no mold. There is no mold.
There you go. Done.
I guess so.
Now, Chris,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're
if
in the
Chris
we're in
talking
the
from
age of
experience.
denial, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just say it doesn't exist.
Chris, how can you even answer that question if you don't even use silicone?
That's why there's no mold.
Exactly.
Say that the mold identifies as something else.
Yeah.
That's right.
It dirt.
I saw the best tweet that Musk did the other day. You know how to get verified on Twitter and to get your little check mark, you pay $8? And everybody's complaining about, I'm not paying $8. Musk came out and said, for those that identify as they and we, they have to pay $16.
Well, it is
right.
plural.
Because they're identifying as two people.
At least
I
two.
love it. I love it.
Now in the South, if
regard-
you're y'all, you could be singular though.
Yeah, true.
All y'all is plural.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
As
yeah,
far
you
as
can
the
be 3 or more.
silicone, guys, one thing about silicone, I do tell people that is a regular maintenance type item. Now, when it comes to a natural stone, whether it's travertine, quartz, marble, I tell them that will definitely have to be redone every several years.
Yes.
So I'm upfront about it.
Yes, that's one of the methods I use for talking people out of it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Absolutely. It's like, hey, put silicone in there. It's going to get grody. I mean, no matter what. I mean, over time, it's going to get gross and you're going to have to change it. You're right. It's an item that's going to have to be maintained.
Well, the thing is, I have two theories when it comes to natural stone. One, we don't know what kind of sealers are being used because some of them are factory applied or some are applied after they're installed by the tile guy. And we don't know how well, the silicone's going to adhere to the sealers in a stone. But let's say you don't even seal the stone. Well, it's going to get wet. And over time, that wet kind of works on the silicone from underneath that surface. Of course, it's going to turn black because of the mildew. And I think it just releases and loses its bond. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, whether it's sealed or not sealed, So,
Chris,
Yeah, well put.
Chris, what do you use in place of silicone? Seals?
Duct tape.
Sometimes I do. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll use just plastic edge seals. I like to get like the pre-taped kind.
Yeah, I always do too. Yeah. Same time. Like a
And
V seal or bulb seal, and then you just slam it to the wall and
Yeah,
get it tight on the ground. And yep.
the V seal is really good. I also like that one. I don't know what you call it, but it looks like, the number pi. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And those are great, and if you get them like with the tape pre-applied, I can just kind of like peel the tape and maybe even use like a little alcohol, to kind of keep it from sticking and just kind of work it in like you would kind of like a storefront vinyl almost, just kind of work it in there and put the tape side to the glass and you can work it in there. And if you can do that, it looks awesome.
Yeah, it does. It looks clean. I've done it on a lot of steamers lately.
are you still going to have mold?
What's that, Brad?
Would you still have mildew build up on the seals?
Yeah, I'm sure like if soap gets in there, it's the soap or in the skin, and all that gross stuff that's in the shower. The stuff they leave for you when you come over to work on their job.
Right.
That stuff.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that molds.
Yeah. Well, we had a chip in a panel. So it was a return panel, a big one. We didn't silicone it. Okay. So we were going to come back out and replace that piece of glass. And so that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We came back out, took the panel out, and it was pretty nasty underneath where that panel was, even though it was elevated a little bit because it was sitting on the little plastic strips you put in, And I was sitting there thinking, well, gosh, you're still going to have crap get underneath the glass, even if you don't silicone it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way to get around that. But the cool thing about using like one of those plastic edge seals is, too, if you do need to change it, you just pull it out.
Yeah. Now, what about channel? Of course, channel. Does anybody put weep holes in their channel?
I don't.
I don't use.
I don't do channel.
Yeah.
Period.
I don't do channel either.
If I do use channel, I don't show it.
Don't do the weep hole. You just put a nice bead on there, glass to top of metal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't use it much, but I do from time to time. Sometimes they'll ask.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Some people ask for it to match their, fixture, whatever.
Some people just like it. I mean, there is something, to be said for, the aesthetic of it. I mean, it just depends on your taste. Billy Britt has something. What is it, Billy?
No, I just like it. I was raising my hand. I like channel.
Yeah.
It's less fabrication. It's pretty quick, fast, easy, cheaper for the customer. But there's always that argument. It's not a frameless shower because you're not using clips.
Which I don't think is an argument you have to have. Like, to each their own.
Yeah. You still have an exposed edge usually, or an exposed top and an edge. So
like if you're saying like one is one and one is the other and you don't sell showers, then I think you're probably in the wrong. But
yeah,
I sell a fair amount of showers and I use channel pretty regularly, so I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
If you stand back and look at a 5-foot door panel and there's 2 2x2 clamps on the floor and 2 2x2 clamps on the wall. And I take that same door panel with a piece of chrome channel on the bottom and up the wall, and it reflects whatever surface it's on.
Yeah.
I tell you which one looks more frameless. It's the one with the channel on it.
Yeah.
I
Because
agree.
my eye goes to the clips right away. It's busy, but I think it's to each his own. Like Billy said, it's vanilla and chocolate. I like the channel.
But if you change that to that color from chrome or brushed nickel to black or oil or a bronze, it's going to stand out and say, "Hey, look at me."
Yeah, and that's in right now.
Yeah.
It's supposed to. It's supposed to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like piping on a Bentley, they got piping around the seats just like that.
Yep. Yeah.
Or you do the clips.
Bentley didn't come to my mind, but
yeah, me
trying
either.
to make it sound high end.
I'm in a different neighborhood.
Yeah.
No, I like
I've got lines on my GMC too, so it's cool. I got
Now, when you're doing a bench seat and they overhang the bench, right? I'll use channel and then I'll cut out the bench and slide the glass into it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For those guys that always do the overhang for some stupid reason.
I've done that before.
And it looks clean. With the channel, it looks clean because you can miter it, look it real tight, and then you slide that in, then you don't see the reflection of the granite or quartzite or whatever it may be. You're not looking at the reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, channel's a good solution. When I started out, I used that all the time. I kind of pushed that. I found over time that it was actually quicker and easier to do clamps, and that's really why I kind of direct people in that direction now, because it's just it's better for me.
So I did the same thing when I started. It was all channel.
Yeah.
Caulking a fixed panel is so much easier, which you have controlled spaces. Like no grout lines. Bam.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. It's a nice, clean look, and I think really, those 2x2 clips are actually more bulky and more obtrusive.
Yeah.
And a nice, clean, just straight channel.
Yeah.
There's an argument that could be made for that.
Yeah. Both ways look good in certain, places, I guess. I did sell one once, and the lady said, "That's not a frameless shower," because I bidded it with channel. Mm-hmm. And when she came in the showroom, she goes, "No, I don't want that. I want the clips." So, people have different ideas of what that is, I guess.
So, Greg, who notches the overhang? You do it, or
I do it? Yeah, I do it. I tape it off, and I do it with union guys know a speedy cut, but a grinder with
4-inch grinder. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard that in a while.
Speedy cut.
Yeah.
Huh.
Union guy. Speedy cut is, I was a residential guy. I went to the union. They go grab that speedy cut. I had no idea what they were talking about. So you mean that grinder?
Grinder.
How about a Tyzac? Have you ever heard of a Tyzac?
Gosh, yeah, I believe I have, but it's
what is it? It's their name for like a leaf trowel. You take a leaf trowel and you modify it for caulking, for a caulking tool. They call it a Tyzac.
Okay, yeah, I know. I've heard of.
Great tool to have. It's good for all kinds of little, reachy pokey things. Reachy pokey things.
Yeah. Like the back of our mallets in the union, you shave the back of your mallet and you use that as your vinyl pusher.
Cut it into a little wedge, right?
Yeah, and you can pound that in on those Alumaxes or whatever, and you see guys with the little wheel, rolling, and you're like, what the heck are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, fond memories.
Fond memories, yeah.
Hanging off the side of a building. Oh boy, I miss those days.
Oh yeah.
Greg, how's the weather up there? A little cold?
Yeah, it's I think it's about probably now about 5 degrees out. Did Keith make it up to the wilderness or Yellowstone Club yet?
I fly out to my land in Bozeman at 10:30 tomorrow night.
Okay, bring your jacket and
No
long
shit.
underwear.
I'm in my
Bring a
room jacket.
Words to live
Packing
by.
right now.
Yeah,
So
I don't have any of that
when
shit.
I came to work this morning, it was 1 degree.
my
And it got
daughter's
up-
up in Billings.
Ooh,
It's a little,
have-
yeah, it's a little warmer in Billings right
It looked
now.
warmer to me.
It's
Keith,
like
do you
in the
even have any
20s
long
there,
sleeve
that's
shirts,
warm.
man?
Huh?
I'm gonna freeze. I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna die.
Yeah, when you take a breath, you're gonna cough. It hits the back of your throat, and you just go.
I can't
hard to
wait.
Nose hairs are gonna freeze.
Yeah, so she moved up there back in July. So this is her first winter.
Oh boy.
She works at Albertsons in Billings.
In Billings, huh? Nice. Yeah.
Luckily, she has a 4-wheel drive car.
Yeah, you kind of have to up here.
I'll post pictures Friday of this house in the Yellowstone Club of these shouters. They're the largest I've ever seen. 12 foot, 14 foot high ceilings. Unbelievable.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, there's some big houses up there. I mean, that's Tom Brady's got it. All the big.
Yeah, this is two doors down from him.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, beautiful. Well, if you need a hand, I'm only 5 hours away. I've done some work up there in Big Sky, up on the ski resort up in Big Sky. So if you need some manpower.
Well, I want to get your information because I might work. Yeah.
Yep.
Let me get your information. Maybe you just DM me after.
Okay. Sounds good.
Coordinate.
Okay, yeah. I'll give it to Chris and he can send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it to Chris.
Yeah, give it to me. Give me your stuff.
So
I
Chris,
will.
your expense report's gonna
I
have
know
a
a
jacket
guy.
on it, right?
Well, there's a lot. I get a good expense report.
Yeah, I get a jacket with my shower door logo.
Yep.
Send me one. It's cold here in Santa Cruz. It was down to like 60s today.
It's raining, I heard, huh?
That's,
It was 55 degrees today.
that's too tough.
That's
It's
cold.
37. It was 37 when I left my house
3
this morning.
sweaters on, 2 jackets, some
I'm
long
gonna have to
johns,
start a fund for you,
2
man.
socks.
Yeah. It was raining and stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Never forget. Never forget.
I will never forget.
What's the temp down in Florida? You guys are due for a hurricane though down there in Florida, right?
Another
It's
one.
perfect right now. There's like no humid. It's got to be the nicest night ever out right now. The light breeze right before the hurricane.
Oh. Yeah.
it's a
So
late
speaking
stage
of all
word,
that-
though, so no big deal.
Yeah.
Bill, how are your
It's
how are your
70 right
employees
now.
doing?
They're doing well. We kind of got them back up on their feet. The one girl, we got into an apartment for a year while they rebuild the house. Insurance adjusters just totaled the house. Other one, I had to get clothing for food for the refrigerator, a lot of stuff. Had another one lost their roof, and we got a roofing company out there to fix that. And the last one that lost everything, he just needed clothing and food, and we actually got everybody back on their feet.
Wow.
So
Great.
thanks
Good.
to everybody. Thanks to
Good.
everybody to help pitch in.
How's your
Yeah.
storefront coming that got flooded?
The what?
The one store that got flooded in.
Yeah, that was lost. We're rebuilding it. Sheetrock is all out. They disinfected it. They're getting ready to. See, they already did the electrical, so now ready to re-sheetrock. Landlord moved us to another location. They actually doubled our size. That's the smallest one we have.
Yeah.
But he put us into another unit.
How about next door at Ferguson? What are they doing?
Yeah, they had to rip everything out. They were like, I don't know how many thousand square feet they were, but they had to rip everything out up to 8 feet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mess.
And actually, that's where he's moving us to, is on the end of the same unit as Ferguson.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Yes, it was. Yes, it
Very.
was.
Yeah.
very good.
blessing in disguise.
Keith, how's your house?
Good. They're gonna do the finishing touches while I'm gone. So hopefully when I get back, and I'm supposed to get my new truck tomorrow. Oh God, I hope it comes tomorrow. I've been beating the shit out of a rental for a little over a month now, so it's ready to get turned back in.
Did you take
This
the
thing's a
insurance?
toilet. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like when I used to drink, they lost money at open bar when I went there. Same thing with the insurance card, the rental card. It's not going to be the same when it goes back. I can promise you that. A lot of hard miles on that.
So what kind of truck are you getting, or what was it?
I had a Silverado 2500, but I found, which there's impossible. Dad luckily put me on one of his friends, owns a dealership in Ohio. GMC 2500 Duramax turbo diesel. Big boy truck.
Good.
You're gonna be like Billy Britt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's like Billy Britt.
Yeah, well,
there's only one Billy Britt.
You can try and get there though.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be like Billy Britt, trust me.
I want to be like Billy Britt. Yeah, I was telling you, I got to chat with Billy the other day, and I was telling him, and I just want to say it again, man. That shindig that he put on at in Vegas at Top Golf. I don't know if you guys know it, but Billy was really the guy who put that together.
Yeah.
And made that happen. And I was just like so impressed with that thing. I mean, that was definitely, man, one of the highlights of the whole trip was
That's cool.
Everybody getting together at Top Golf, and man, they had dinner. They had all these like hors d'oeuvres, and I'd never been to one of those things. It was really a trip. It's like if you've never heard of it, if you've never seen it, it's like imagine that you had like a driving range, and then you had like a sports bar, and then like you just combine the two, and it's like a sports bar with like no wall, and instead of a wall, it's like a full-on like driving range. And it's all computerized. It's like it's top notch, and service was awesome, and everybody who was there just had a great time, and it was like everybody was just talking, and the waitresses came around, I don't know, like around 9:00 or something. They're like, "Hey, sorry, but you guys have to move. We've got another party coming in." It's like just like step, a few feet over there, at least. I was like, okay, yeah. So like, kind of moved everybody over a little bit, and then like an hour and a half later, everybody was still there talking, and I was like, man, I'm gonna fall asleep. I need to leave. I felt bad leaving, before everybody else, but when I left, people were still talking, and it was just awesome. So anyway,
that's all right.
Thanks, Billy. Man, that was awesome, dude.
Well, we all owe it to you, Chris. I told you this when I talked to you the other day. None of this happens without the idea that this needed to exist. So we took your horn on that one. It's all because of you, bro. It's I will say, if we do it again, we got to order more food, because we had a big tab and nobody used it. And they wouldn't let us do alcohol, so it's kind of a
we
bummer.
Didn't eat enough food.
We didn't eat enough food. I was bummed. I was trying to get everybody to order food, but the problem was everybody was enjoying conversation so much and interacting for the first time in 2 years of doing this, that food and golf were kind of a second consideration. It was just enjoying company of people you've talked to and become friends with. So yeah. Thank you, Chris, as well.
That was awesome, man. Yeah, I was just so blown away and just so proud, that you just like took charge, man, and did that. It was just awesome, I was like, a couple of these guys can really golf too, man. You should have seen Bill Dobbin hitting balls, man. It was just like unbelievable, man.
You
was
should have
like
seen Adrian out there.
Charts.
What?
And yeah, oh man, it was crazy. Like Jim
yeah.
Evans was there golfing, man. He was like Happy Gilmore, man. He was like running up on it.
Ending up.
I was trying to.
It was awesome.
I haven't seen
even
any
did a couple,
pictures.
It was pretty funny.
Actually,
But,
Jim Evans posted some pictures
Yeah,
Did he? I
Yeah.
didn't see him.
with video.
we'll have to dig
Yeah.
him up, man, and post him to the group.
If my skills were key skills, I would have already posted a bunch of pictures, but my social
That's
media
right.
skills are not on par. So that's my bad. That's my bad.
Yeah,
Too
nobody's
busy when it's too bad when you're the host, Billy. You don't have time to do that. You were playing host.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great you put it on. I enjoyed it.
So who knows?
It just
Who
means we
knows
need
what
to
might happen
do it
next?
again.
Yeah.
It just means
there'll
it
be
has
more
to happen
stuff.
again.
Yep,
Can't be a one-time thing.
that's
Can't be a
right.
one-time thing.
Well, hey, here's the thing. Keith and I were talking when the show comes back to Atlanta this year. If you guys want to take a trip down this way, and we've got a Top Golf right up the street, we could do that here. And anybody wants to take a tour of the factory can kind of do it together.
Yeah,
would be
because if the show's on Monday, if everybody wants to get there Sunday night, like the night before, you come in to RSW. I mean, our factory's 5 miles from the airport. Do a tour there. We can even all leave together on Sunday night and head out to Atlanta. It's
we
like
could camp out there, man. We could all
Yes.
take tents at the factory. It would
Yeah,
be like a night at the museum, only
Yes.
it'd be like a night at the glass factory.
that'd be cool.
Dude,
I called
And
dibs on
actually, we
Donald's
have all the
office.
shower
I
doors
called
there. We
dibs.
have a little competition so you can install the door panels the fastest for sure.
Whoa.
There you go.
Yeah, it'd be like a combine.
Now you're
I'll
talking.
bring some tools.
Hey, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Without chipping it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta have judges.
That's right. I'll judge.
All right, till next week, guys.
All right, you guys, have a good one, man.